Good morning and welcome to Missoula Real Estate Today. This is Peter Christian. I'm here with the host of the show, Diane Beck with Windermere Real Estate. Diane has been helping buyers and sellers with real estate in the Missoula area for over 20 years and is very active in the Missoula community. Along with their trusted partners, Diane provides complete service for your real estate transaction. And now, Missoula Real Estate Today on newstalkkgvo.com. 98.3 FM and 1290 AM. Hey, welcome everybody. It is Missoula Real Estate Today. I'm Peter Christian, and Diane Beck, of course, is doing her Diane Beck thing out selling and real estate. But we have special guests in the studio. Today we have folks from Big Brothers Big Sisters of Missoula, and it's just a thrill to have you guys in. Every year we do this, and it's really fun because I think it's a very, very worthy organization. We have Danette Rector, who's the CEO. How long have you been CEO now?
I've been with the Missoula agency for 23 years, and
wow.
I was the CEO in Great Falls for 17. So
goodness gracious.
I've been around for a while.
I was going to say, if anybody knows anything about Big Brothers Big Sisters, it's got to be Danette, right?
Oh, well, I think I know a little bit, but I'll tell you, it's just like anything else. Things change.
You're always learning.
Day to day. Yes.
Right. You're always learning
so
new
true.
stuff.
Always learning.
All right. So we also have with us Christopher Ruby. We're going to get to him in just a minute, so we don't have to move the mic around too much. So Danette, for those who maybe just landed from the planet Pluto and don't know anything about Big Brothers and Big Sisters, give us the extent. We have half an hour to talk, so please feel free to stretch out and tell us all the things you love about Big Brothers and what you do.
Well, Big Brothers and Big Sisters is a best practice in mentoring. We work with children who are at risk, children that are facing adversity, that need to have another positive adult in their life. And through the program, we match the children on a one-to-one basis. It's one child with one adult who is there to be a friend, a role model, someone to give them guidance, and just somebody to be there to, listen to how their day is going, what's happened at school, what's going on, with their friends. We're not taking the place of another parent. We're just adding and giving that parent some additional support so that child has another healthy adult involved in their life.
Sure.
We have two programs here in Missoula. Our traditional community program, which is over 115 years old on the national level, and the Missoula agency right now, we're 48 years serving children in our community. So you've
had successive generations of Big Brothers who have grown up and probably are Big Brothers on their own, right?
Oh, yes. It is so exciting because there isn't a day that goes by that I don't run into someone that has been involved in the program or knows somebody that has had a big brother or big sister or has been a donor. So we hear some wonderful stories. And really, the impact that we have on the lives of the children, it extends into their adult life.
Sure. So you might, if you wouldn't mind, just take me through the average visit. First of all, what is the structure? How often do they meet? Or is it up to the big and the little, or what?
Well, in the community program, they meet, we ask for at least a year commitment from the volunteer, and then we ask that they meet with the child at least once a week, maybe 2 to 3 hours, and do an activity that the two of them enjoy. It could be something that's recreational, it could be something that is educational, or it could be work-related, maybe teaching that little brother how to change the oil, in the car. But just, having that time.
Teaching me how to change it.
Yeah. Well, it's just having that time so that they can get to know each other and develop a trusting, relationship. It's like any friendship you've had. Mm-hmm. You get to know that person and you become close friends, and then you're able to share in a lot of, activities and just share, your life with each other. Now, with the after-school programs that we have at CS Porter, Russell, and Franklin, the volunteers meet with the child right at school, after school, at least one day a week. And that program is a little bit different because that time together takes place at the school site, and their relationship is more of a supervised setting at the school.
So is it more academic? Do they help with schoolwork, or is it just the traditional stuff? It's just in a school setting.
It's in the school setting, and they can work on projects that the little might be working on, computers. They can go to the library. Maybe they just go out and shoot baskets. They just have that opportunity to share their time together.
I grew up as in a single parent family, and my parents got divorced when I was 9, and we moved from Virginia all the way to Montana. You want to talk about culture shock, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at that time where I lived in Helena, there was no such thing as big brothers and big sisters. So I look at that time and think, boy, wouldn't it have been nice if there was some guy, like Christopher or someone a big who would be say, hey, Pete, come on over here. Let's go, go watch a movie or do whatever, and just you have a touchstone to someone who's who's an adult that isn't your single parent, and because they're already crazed with stress and trying to make a living and that sort of thing. So I would imagine for that big brother or big sister, or for that little brother or little sister, it's got to be a wonderful I don't want to say escape, but a wonderful experience for them just to get to know this person.
Well, it really is. And you look at the young boys that are part of our program, majority of those boys come into the program without any contact with their fathers. So there's very little male role modeling. Mm-hmm. So by having a big brother, or in some cases a big couple, spend time with that child, they get that opportunity
tell me about this big couple thing. What's this all about?
Well, we do have a big couples program where two individuals that are in a long-term relationship can volunteer to work with a child in the program. In those cases, we usually match them with the younger boys because they tend to wait the longest on our agency ready to be matched list. And for those young boys, not only do they get that male role modeling and that exposure to a male world, they also get some additional nurturing from that big sister.
Sure.
So those relationships are really wonderful. We have not a lot of them. We have a few of them, but they really are dynamic and tend to last, for many years.
So tell me, what is it like when when a man calls and said, I want to volunteer, and of course they go through training first, right?
Yes, they go through a screening process that involves interviews, background checks, reference checks, and they do go through training before they are accepted into the program.
Sure. So tell me what it's like when you have an individual, a gentleman who has gone through all this and is ready to go, and you reach into your list and find the one at the top of the list, been waiting the longest. What is that phone call like?
Well, I think I'm going to pass that over to Chris, because that's what he's an expert in that field. All
right, Christopher Ruby, he's a match support specialist, so welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so I just described the scenario here. There's been a little who's been waiting a long time, maybe a year or so, and just haven't found the right person. Well, now you have. What's that phone call like?
Yeah, it's actually pretty heartwarming. You get a follow up with the parent and the child and kind of explain the volunteer that we were going to match you with. And they get to have questions about who that person is and what they like to do. And usually the kid is just excited. They just want to come into our office. Then we call the volunteer and we talk to them about the kid, and then they're excited. So they come to the meeting for just an orientation to go over our ground rules. And then we have them go out together. So I sit with them and I talk to them about what would be the best, how it's going to work each week. And then they go out for something, maybe go out for ice cream and just get together.
So help me out with the ground rules. What are the ground rules?
Well, some of the ground rules are, we don't ask the parents to have the bigs drop them off at different homes. We want that communication to be very clear because we want the parent to be just as involved in the match as the volunteer and the kid.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So we kind of cover those things about how to keep in touch with the agency, how I follow up with them every month and check in and hear about all the things that they're doing. Safety is the biggest priority, obviously, and we want it to be fun. So
sure. So talk to me about the safety a little bit. I realize that if you're going to go on a bike ride, or you can do various things that involve physical activity, I'm sure there are rules and method. There's a methodology there to make sure everybody's safe.
Yeah, we kind of talk about that kind of common sense safety. Like you said, riding a bike, we want you to wear helmets.
Right.
So
right.
We have those for them. If they're going to go swimming in the river or at a lake, we ask that they have a life jacket. And stuff like that, where we just want them to think a little bit more and about their time together and just kind of take out that risk.
Well, now let me ask you this: let's say a big has a big fat inner tube and it's like 96 degrees, and it's I'm going to take my little and we're going to hit the river. So is that something that they're allowed to do, or is that do you have to get? Let me ask you: do you have to get permission for any certain activity before you actually launch out and do it?
Yeah. Well, so with just the rivers, we just ask them to call and talk with me. And just kind of go over their plan of how they're going to do it. If they're going to have one car at pickup and one car at the drop-off, how they're going to make that work. If the little is getting cold on the river, what kind of plan of action would you have for that? So it's the most enjoyable. We also make sure that we check with the parent and make sure that they're comfortable with everything they're doing. It's kind of that time where hunting season comes about.
Right.
So we also have rules on that. So we have, we ask that our littles be 13 and have hunter safety. And then we do kind of a safety plan if they want to go out for a weekend.
Wow.
Like that.
So I did not realize that was an option that you could take your little hunting with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Right.
it's actually a few people do it a couple times in the year because we want, to get the kids outdoors and find that they can do a lot of other
Right.
things other than sit in front of a TV.
Now, a little doesn't necessarily have to be old enough to take hunter's safety, but even if the big wants to take them along on their hunting trip, that's going to last a day or whatever, just to observe and to enjoy the outdoors and carry stuff or whatever the big wants to do. Is that allowed?
We stick with the hunter safety because
You
we
do?
want to
Okay.
have those kids,
Right.
understanding, and kids can also be a check to the adults to, to focus on the things you might forget about
You
for safety.
forgot to do such and
Yeah.
such, right?
You
Where's
know,
your hunter's orange?
Exactly. We hear kids tell their bigs all the time, as they get in the car, hey, don't forget your seatbelt before we go anywhere.
Cool.
So it's really a great learning experience for these kids to also keep, their volunteers on
Yeah.
their toes and stuff.
So what are you guys looking for in a big? Let's start with big brothers because I realize there's probably a lot more potential little brothers out there than little sisters. So what are you looking for? What kind of person are you looking for?
Oh, they kind of come in all shapes and sizes. We have bigs that really enjoy coding and kind of technology-based stuff. So we have bigs that will sit with kids and kind of expand their interest of, they start with video games and then they kind of look back and how that's created.
Right.
So we have people who enjoy doing that stuff, but also bigs who just want to get out and do something for a couple hours a week. Most of our big brothers just like to be out playing basketball, play soccer, throw a frisbee, either go golfing. It doesn't have to all be sports. It can be as simple as meeting and just playing a board game at a coffee shop, and that's kind of what we need from them.
Well, the one thing I've learned about golf is they call it golf because all the other really good 4-letter words were already taken. But
Yeah, exactly. It's good.
yeah, that is not something I would subject. If I was a big brother, I wouldn't want them to come golfing with me. It would be a very bad example.
Yeah. So we've had some littles take out their big brothers on the driving range.
Sure.
And kind of work on their swing too. So they kind of can do a lot of different things. It kind of based on their interests. Kind of how we match them is personality traits, shared interests, and also things that they're willing to try. We understand that the volunteers will try new things that the kids really enjoy that they've never ever experienced before. And that's a double learning process. So if we would love a kid to try something new, you also have to be able to demonstrate that you're willing to try something.
Sure. Now the big brother or the big sister obviously develops a relationship with the in-house parent, right?
Correct.
So how does that develop?
Yeah. So through the community program, in that first initial meeting, we try to talk to them about what would be the best way for you guys to keep in touch each week. Is that texting? Is that calling? And then we also ask the big to check in with the parent when they first get there, and kind of talk about how their day at school went, when we'll have them back and stuff like that. And to also check in when they drop them off for the day and kind of talk about what they did. If there was any, behaviors or stuff like that came up, it's really good for the parent to have that extra kind of like that satellite situation to know exactly what's going on. So over that course of that first year and meeting each week, the big really can start feeling more open and more comfortable with the parent because that parent will also maybe have some suggestions to how to help that kid.
Sure.
So we really work as a team. In all aspects of it.
So how old does a little have to be eligible for this program?
6 is our younger age.
6 is the youngest, about first graders, right? Okay.
So we'll take kids that will come in around 5.5, just to kind of get them oriented with the program and go over that with the parent so that they can be matched sooner on. The parents also understand that we're going to wait till they're 6. And then that kind of limit is around 14 or so.
Okay, so 6 to 14, and by the time they're 14, they're old enough. They're in high school by then, and they're able to form their own friendships. And now, do you ever have kids in high school that volunteer, maybe who were little, and once they get out of the program and they're getting close to the end of high school, hey, I want to be a big? Do they have to be a certain age?
Oh yeah, no, that's we do have a certain age for them. We asked for them to be 18.
Okay.
And what that is, they also have to have their own parent permission. But we ask them to come to the site-based programs with the schools. So a lot of our high school little brothers that are now big brothers also will volunteer to be a big brother in the elementary schools. So it's just kind of a continued and rotating schedule. And they really value that they can now be that inspiration to a kid and that role model for them.
So how is there a record, Danette? As long as you've been doing this, is there a record as to how? I realize from 6 to 14, that's 8 years, right? But is there a record as to how many times a big brother is a big brother, or has been a big brother since 1975? Now that it's 2019, we're still a big brother. I mean, is that something that you find?
Yes, if we have a volunteer that's been exceptional, and we have had many, we do encourage them to continue after their little has moved on, and that match has come to an end under the Big Brother Big Sister umbrella. We do, as Chris said, take children new into the program at 14, but if they're matched with a Big Brother Big Sister at age 14, they can continue until they turn 18.
Wow!
And the last couple of years, we have seen some of our matches that finally end after 12 years of being together when that little graduates from high school. So I have worked with individuals that may have had 2 or 3 littles over the course of the years that they've been involved with the program. But what's even more, I think, rewarding, or for me, is to see somebody come back into my office that was a little 25 years ago, who still has that ongoing relationship with that big brother or that big sister that they were matched to when they were 7 and 8 years old. And we hear those stories all the time. And, you think, wow, a couple hours a week. Well, those couple hours a week definitely impact people's lives. And you see this in the adults who were littles in our program coming back as adults to give back to the community, just pay it, forward. And I think probably that, to me, is one of the most rewarding things, followed by the actual time that we make that match, because that happens in our office. And, Chris has been there so many times. When that little comes through the door of our office, the day that they're meeting their big brother or big sister, there is a grin from ear to ear. And they are so excited because they are getting a big, and I can remember this one little boy who's being raised by his grandmother, and he was coming to meet his big couple. And he made his grandmother dress in her Sunday best. And he came with he was in his Sunday best clothes and had a tie on because he was coming to meet his big couple. That was so important to that young boy.
Wow. That's amazing.
Just the stories. I mean, I could go on for hours sharing, stories. And, it is a wonderful program. And I think often programs like ours that are prevention, that's what we do. Our prevention program. We kind of get lost in the shuffle of all this, crisis intervention kinds of things. And really, if we would just take a moment and look at, okay, prevention, what it is, and, what does it cost compared to what we pay for intervention programs, although we have to have intervention programs, but I think sometimes we get, kind of pushed to the bottom of the list because we're prevention.
Right.
And the thing about Big Brothers and Big Sisters is that we have the numbers, we have the data, we have the evidence to show that the model that we use in our program does impact the lives of those children. They're graduating from high school, they're going on to college, trade schools, they're becoming productive members of our community. And that's what we want to see, is that these individuals get, as children, the support and the guidance that they need to, be a healthy adult and a healthy, parent as well.
Every young boy or girl needs a positive, strong influence in their life, whether it's a big brother, or it's a pastor, whether it's a teacher or a coach or whatever. But this is an opportunity where a person can actually volunteer to be that person.
Oh, definitely. You hit it on the nose there. We all need somebody to be in our corner.
Right.
Even as adults, you start a new job, you always have somebody there that's going to help, mentor you along. Mentoring is a part of our everyday, lives. There are just some individuals, primarily, children, that need to have it more consistent, depending upon, the situation, what's happening in their own life. And, I think Chris touched on it. We work with children that have all kinds of different needs, and they're coming from all kinds of, different families. we have many children now in our program. They're being raised by grandparents and great-grandparents. So you can imagine all of a sudden you've raised your children and you're ready to get out there and enjoy it. And all of a sudden you find yourself becoming the guardian, for your grandchildren.
We have had several programs with the folks who their parents have been unfortunately involved in the legal system through drugs or whatever it might be. And so the children, they're looking for a home. They're looking for a place to put them. And I would think that just having a big brother would be like throwing a life preserver to this child, right?
Definitely. And what we find is that in many of these situations, and this has happened where we have been working with a child who is living with their mother, their father, and that parent finds themselves in a situation because of many different, reasons, mental health, addiction, whatever, illness, whatever that is, that they can no longer care for that child. So then they go to live, in a foster care system or with that grandparent. But the person that tends to be the person that they connect with is that big brother, big sister.
Mm-hmm.
They're the stable person, in their life and helps them with that, adjustment,
Sure.
as well. We have children that have ended up out of Watson's and our big brother and big sisters or in the youth homes that continue to have that, connection and that relationship with them.
Because that's the one steady thing in their life,
Very
right?
much so.
Right, right.
And coming back to that whole issue of, prevention, and just the cost versus, the intervention, Big Brothers and Big Sisters, our program is free to any child and family that qualifies. We do not, we don't have a billing system. We don't charge for our services. So we have to work really hard to raise the funds that we need to keep our local program going here, in Missoula. The demand for our service is incredible. As I mentioned, we always have a ready-to-be-matched waiting list of children in need of our program. And I think right now we have around 120 children that are involved in active, matches.
Wow.
And our school programs, and that number, we'll see that increase throughout the year. Our school programs right now are just getting up and starting. So we have to, rely upon the generous support of the community to keep our program going. And in the last year, we've seen so many cuts in, programs. And for many of those programs that do work with children that have lost funding, they refer those children to Big Brothers and Big Sisters. So,
Wow.
I think one day last winter, we probably received 5 new referrals in one afternoon for children that were in need of, services. So we have to rely on the generous support of the community, the business community. We have grants, but we're seeing that drying up as well on the state and federal level. So, we're looking to increase our individual donors to our program as well as our fundraising events.
Which,
we have
by
a
the
big
way,
one.
by the way, as she cleverly put, we have the Bowl for Kids' Sake again. How many years has this been going on?
I think the first year we did bowling in Missoula was 1990.
Wow.
Long time. And it's been, it's one of our biggest fundraisers. And I always like to let the community know that every dollar we raise stays here in Missoula and benefits our children.
May I share my experience with bowling for kids' sake? You usually have some rather dynamic personalities that are running this thing. And I'm not a good bowler, but on that particular night, I was smoking. I had like 3 strikes in a row, and I was on my way to get my 4th one. And when you're doing well, the MC will kind of sidle over to where you're at with his microphone and get up next to you while you're making your approach. You're not going to get it. You're not going to get it. This is going to do with the gutter. Come on. So I threw a strike, and it went, na, 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 na. But it is a lot of fun. I mean, they go all out to make it fun for everybody, right?
Oh, it is. It's an awesome event, and we have really enjoyed and appreciated all the support that we have, received. The gang over West Side Lanes, they open up the door and they let us come in. They donate all that time, and that's 72, lanes that they've given to us free for so many years. So we're looking for teams again this year. The events are October 28th, which is a Sunday, and then again on Saturday, November 3rd. And it's so important that we raise what we have in our budget, for this year, because the success of that event determines how many children we're going to be able to, serve down the road.
How much do you need?
Our goal this year for Bowl for Kids' Sake is to net around $75,000, and that's either through the bowlers go out and get the pledges, or through our sponsorships that we have available.
Okay, so that sounds like a reachable goal.
I think that it is. We would love to see some new teams get involved. It's a great way to promote morale, in your office. I know that Denny always gets you guys all together here.
Right.
And then you come in, like you said, it's just a lot of fun. So we would love to see some new teams come out and our teams that have been there year in and, year out. It's fun.
And the other thing is you can have a really good bowler and a really terrible bowler on the same team, and it doesn't matter because everybody's just having a good time.
That's what it's all about, is coming and celebrating the success that you've had in raising money for the program. And it has nothing to do with your bowling skills at all. And,
Thank heavens for that.
And I also want to tell people that Bowl for Kids' Sake is the funnest time. It is the most fun that you're going to have in rented shoes.
Yeah. I like that. Well, we have believe it or not, only about 4 minutes left in the program. There is one question I wanted to ask. Christopher. Grab that microphone there, young man. So I know that there are people listening. A lot of people listen to this show every week. A lot of people do. And I know right now that there are young men, middle-aged men, older men who are listening right now who have been thinking, I've thought about being a big brother, but they're apprehensive. They're nervous. Would I qualify? Am I interesting enough? So what would you say to them to say, hey, let's give it a shot?
Yeah. Well, first off, I would just say give us a call at our office. We have exceptional customer service with a very, very comforting staff. So we would sit and we'd talk to you about, how did you hear about us? What are you apprehensive about? And kind of walk them through it. As my role as a match support specialist, and I talk with the volunteers, the kids, and the parents each month to just check in on it and make sure everything's going well. I'm also there to kind of coach and support those volunteers in what they are apprehensive with. So, I think they should just go for it.
Yeah.
I think you should just reach out and just ask some questions. I think that can be the hardest part, but once you get one of us on the phone, we'll follow up with you. We'll walk you through it all. And we're with you all the way through. And
in case you're wondering, you don't have to make a certain amount of money. You don't have to have a certain occupation. You just have to be willing, right?
Exactly. Yeah, we like Danette said, we focus on no cost to low cost activities. As you are part of the program, there's wonderful businesses and agencies that also donate cost saving events at their activities.
Cool.
Like Flying Squirrel will give us 2-for-1, so the volunteer will pay and the kids gets to go for free for that hour. Same with West Side Lanes with bowling. And then we also put together programs for you a couple times a month. One is what we plan for Big Brothers, Big Sisters, like Halloween parties and stuff like that. So that's something you and a little can go to together. And then also our Outdoor Explorers program, where we really focus on trying to get kids out into the wilderness. So tonight, actually, we're going to go up to the Milltown Overlook and meet with the Milltown Park Ranger.
Cool.
And we've got about 7 or 8 matches that are going to be joining us. So we got about 20 people. And we're going to be walking around and doing hikes and playing games and kind of learning about the area that we live in.
So what I hear you saying is the best kept secret is Big Brothers, Big Sisters is fun.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're new to the community and you're not sure what to do around here, get involved with us, and you'll see that we have endless potential for all the things you can do.
I ask this of everybody that comes in. We got like 2 minutes left in the show. When your feet hit the floor in the morning, Christopher, what gets you going? What you can't wait to get to work because what?
It's those conversations with the parents, the volunteers, and the kids about what's working, or just working and helping them see a different aspect or a different way to look at a situation or a solution. Just talking with some of these people that I've been working with for over 3 years has just been amazing, and watching the growth in these kids through time and time again.
Okay, how about you, Danette? So what gets you going?
Well, I would say it's probably the unknown. What's going to happen today, because no day is the same in our office. So it's like, okay, are we going to match children today? Are we going to have new volunteers? Is a new donor going to come through the door? It's just that anticipating what is going to be the surprise for the day. And then I think the other part of it is just knowing that we are making a difference in our community, and we're making a difference in the lives of the children.
Give us some contact information.
Sure. We're located on the corner of Russell and Mount in the log building. Our number is 721-2380, or you can contact us on the web, which is bbsmissoula.org.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Awesome. You guys do an awesome job every year. That's going to do it for Missoula Real Estate today. We will see you next week. Thanks for tuning into Missoula Real Estate today. We hope you found the information over the last 30 minutes to be helpful. If you have any suggested topics for future Missoula Real Estate Today programs, or any questions about buying or selling real estate, please email Diane. Here's the address. It's dianebeck@realtor.com. That's dianebeck@realtor.com. We'll see you next week on News Talk KGBO.com, 98.3 FM and 1290 AM.